There are two things that I learned from TV doctor Greg House. First, it's never lupus. But that has absolutely nothing to do with the Belgian show that just dropped on Netflix called The 12. The second thing I learned was that everyone lies, and that absolutely has everything to do with the show. A woman is on trial for two murders, one being that of her young daughter, the other being her best friend from 20 years prior. I'm not sure the best title for this series is called The 12. I mean, yes, it does focus on the jury, but not all of them. I mean, we get a lot of in-depth on a few of them, and the rest of them we barely even see and we don't even hear from until they begin the deliberations. We do, however, get a lot of the courtroom drama. So I think maybe the better title for this Netflix series would have been The Trial. Except that's already been taken by an Italian drama that came out earlier this year. Kudos to the writers for creating characters who are so twisted in their own lies that we literally can't tell who's telling the truth at any given point. This works to add a ton of mystery and suspense to the narrative. Just when you think you've figured one part out, a curveball comes in and ruins that which you were so certain of before. Now, in this dramatic series, the characters are really a big focus of what's going on. And I gotta tell you that a lot of them are utterly despicable. I mean, like, I wish really, really bad things to happen to them because they are just terrible people. You see it oozing from them. And it's really hard to watch sometimes when these characters are on the screen because you hate them. And you're supposed to hate them. And I mean, good job on the actors for really conveying this to make such slimy or just horrid people. There are also others who are not quite as despicable, but they're still really unlikable also. And I mean, you wouldn't wish like bad things to happen to them, but you really don't like them either. There's probably only a couple of redeeming characters in this entire show, and that even wavers back and forth as we learn and uncover more about each of the characters. We do get a good sense of some of the characters of who they are based on flashbacks, based on just current events that we're seeing happening during the trials. It's really interesting to watch court situations from other countries because they behave so differently from the US. And that's not a bad thing. This really will put you on an emotional roller coaster as the drama unfolds. And it was quite frustrating to see some of the events play out in the courtroom. There's so much conjecture and speculation that is being thrown about. And it's frustrating at times. Like, we would yell at the TV in disbelief because, like, what, seriously, that's allowed to happen? Or how can you not follow up with a different question? Or you just sit with that and you're okay? In the final episode, we finally get to see the jury sit down in action, and you can see so much of their personal biases come out. I mean, it's evident not only as they discuss the case, but the evidence and the accused, and their words are really talking just as much about themselves as about the case when they speak. If you've been looking for a character-driven show to binge, this one is going to be it. I mean, it is 10 episodes long. Each of them are a little less than an hour, but it will definitely suck you in. The mystery surrounding so many of the characters and their lies is just outstanding to watch. It really is intriguing. But don't go into this expecting 12 Angry Men. The part that happens in the deliberations is only in the last episode. So there are some times where the jury is alone and we get to see some of their interactions and some of their discussions, but not a ton. Really, so much more of the narrative is happening inside the courtroom and then outside of the courtroom as we learn about more and more of the characters, and we just get to see how their lives truly do play in to what they are bringing into the courtroom and into the deliberation room. I was really sucked in by the intrigue, the misdirection, but honestly, I think the weakest part of the show is the very end. At first, I was really disappointed by it because we're asked to make so many assumptions, so many leaps in judgment that we don't have any evidence for. So while we can piece it together and we can figure out from what they're giving us that yes, okay, so this did happen or this might have happened, there's still the question of motive, which for the most part is completely unanswered. So when it ends, I mean, we as an audience are doing exactly what was tasked with the jury. They're given all of the facts, or they're given all of the stuff. They're witness to everything that happened in court, and then they're asked to draw a conclusion of someone's innocence or guilt based on those facts. And it's really tough, like I said, for us to make that because the motives are just not clear. Even though the very end was the weakest part of the show, I don't think it ruined it for me. I still had a great time. I really loved the ride that I was on. I mean, I was frustrated through so much of it because every single time I thought I had something right or something like, oh, I think it's going here, someone else's testimony would make theirs completely irrelevant or it would contradict. There were so many lies going throughout this entire show that it truly was hard to find out what is the truth. There is sex, nudity, profanity, violence, some domestic violence, and some really gruesome imagery. I give the 12 4 out of 5 couches. What's your favorite courtroom film or show? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.